the pass from Martinez. We're going to go through all of that and so much more in a game that was so boring for so long, but came alive. And I've got to be honest, it's mad. When the goal was scored, the winning goal, it was something that I've been screaming about throughout the game. So let's get straight into it because there's lots to talk about. Pep Guardiola got this really wrong, in my opinion. And in terms of that pass, here's an interesting stat for you straight off the bat. That pass was the first direct central pass that was made by Man United in this game. So why was that the case? Why did it take them so long? This is stats zone. That yellow line you can see there. Why did it take them so long to make that pass and to figure it out? There are some real growing pains for Man United in this one. But stale pains for Man City, they were a little bit boring, and I think it comes down to Pep. I can't believe I'm even going to say it. I'm going to put it on Pep with this one. We did a preview on the More James Allcott channel. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. And also make sure you check out JLA_FC, where I think we're like 99 away from hitting 10K, which has been our aim all year long. And the guy's going to be doing a Twitter space with some fantastic creators. It will have happened now, or it will be happening right now when we're recording this. So make sure you go check that out. So the two lineups, what I wanted to do was set it up in this way, because you got the two teams here. And what I've done is I've put it in the out of possession positions, right? So Man United, flat back five. It was, you played Mazraoui on the right-hand side. God, I love this guy. He is not spoken about enough because he's a right back, but he is fantastic. Dalot on the left-hand side, I've got to be honest, just not having him on that left-hand side at all, but I guess he's doing a job for the team. And this was one of the most one-sided games you will ever see. And when I say one-sided, I mean this. The entire game was played on this side of the pitch. The other side was absolutely redundant. And that is where a huge mistake was made, in my opinion, in terms of the lineups. Because this man here, Bernardo Silva, he had 33 touches. He made, I think, 15 passes, 17 passes, something like that. He was absolutely cancelled out and useless and not used. The whole game was being played down this left-hand side. And so in terms of those big decisions by Pep and why I believe he got it wrong, it was because of the situation in possession. So if we think of Man United here, Haaland obviously went up. Let's take that off there. De Bruyne played in De Bruyne space, as I like to call it, although he kind of moved all around the pitch looking to try and create stuff, especially when the ball was always on this left-hand side. And I think what I will say is his creative output is definitely still there. And maybe not dazzling in the same way, but it's because they're struggling as a team. Doku high and wide at all times. Foden stepping into this position here, looking to help and looking to float on this left-hand side. And I thought he looked a little bit better overall. And then Silva kind of stayed wide and stayed out of the way. But the interesting part is, first of all, Gundogan as that kind of single pivot, but would move up. But also would be a double pivot with Gvardiol. Diaz would drop here. Walker was playing here, stepping forward when he wanted to. And they were looking to really kind of, I guess, congest the pitch and control it. And Nunez kind of playing in this area here, sometimes coming wider. And the decision to play Matheus Nunes at left back was an absolute disaster for me. On the More James Allcott channel, I said that you needed to put Silva over here. And let me explain why. Because if, say, you played someone else over on that side, you would have used the ball quicker. And importantly, Gvardiol stepping into this position here did not work. It really, really, really didn't work, because in transition they were struggling. Otherwise, their back line was really wobbly. And in Matheus Nunes, as we came to pass, and we'll show you it, he has no defensive brain at all. And it was honestly, okay, look, you can go and say they were unlucky, whatever, but it comes down to decisions. Football's down to decisions. And actually, Man United should have really gone for it a lot sooner. So instead, we had Silva out here. They never wanted to get the ball over to him at any point, wasn't involved. And Matheus Nunes was just taking too long with it. And so then in transition, when you lost the ball, you were in an awkward position. Let me show you exactly what I mean. And the reason this is so important is because the goal the winning goal comes from this problem. So the signs were there throughout the game. And so Pep should have changed it. And I'll show you what he should have done. Yes, he should have put Silva on there, but the reason for it is really important as well. So this is it in build-up, and you can see Guardiola right here. Matheus Nunes over here. And Silva kind of outshot out wide and just utterly not used. So Guardiola stepping in here. And that's okay because you're kind of splitting Rasmus Højlund and, you know, you can play those balls. And because of the way that Man United want to set up, just one kind of on their own, really, it's okay. It works. It's fine. But the problem was in possession and then in transition, once they lost the ball. So first of all, in possession, it made Man City clunky for me. He took way too long. There's a moment here, you can see Thogden going, move the ball. But part of the problem is Guardiola's kind of sitting here, doesn't really want it, isn't really looking for it. Matheus Nunes is looking for another ball. Bernardo Silva's over here, utterly redundant once again, not used. One of your most intelligent players in terms of creating something. And in terms of a team that's really lacking in chemistry here, you know, allowing for quick passes to get things moving. Now, the moment's gone, so Foden's going, let's move it around or go back to Diaz and work round to the other side. But he's just waiting and waiting and waiting. Or if he'd been quicker with it, you know, maybe drive and then play a ball in here or play the ball quickly or play the ball quickly. He took so long all the time. So in possession, he was frustrating. But also, Guardiola stepping into this area here didn't work for the team. And the first sign of how Man United were going to win this game, for me, was revealed in this moment. So it's a shame we don't do watch-alongs because when the moment happened, I was like, I've been saying this all game. This is Matheus Nunes playing here, and he looks to play the pass here to Guardiola. And this time, we're talking more about Guardiola because he hasn't, you know, he's a centre-back stepping in, and so he's not as comfortable. And you need really, really comfortable players in that area of the pitch because you don't want to lose it there because if you do, then there's going to be problems. And what I will say is Guardiola is having a little scan, to be fair to him, and he sees Ugarte, who deserves huge credit in this game. Huge credit in this game. I thought that what my note was with him is he gets there. He always gets there. And he's got great energy, really just always gets there. And that is a really useful tool for a Man United team that struggled. So at this moment, he's actually quite far away from him. But by the time he's passed the ball, and he's not really passed the ball with the right kind of information either. The ball gets passed. It gets absolutely walloped by Ugarte, and they're on their way. And this was the first sign I thought that would lead to Man United having some good moments, and also a sign of the growing pains of this team. Because this area here was always an option. Always an option for them. Let me go back to the tactics board to explain it, because I think it's important. If we go back to exactly what we're talking about here, with Guardiola losing it in this area here, when you are then in defensive transition, there was a problem with this back line. Massive, massive problem with this back line. Because as they looked to break, these two were not comfortable. And so throughout the game, there was this space here. And if you could work on this pair, they just didn't have the connection, the chemistry, the understanding, and importantly, the defensive mindset of Matheus Nunes to get through it. But what Diallo often did was he kind of kept cutting back. And this is a great example of it. Let me show you. But by the time they got there, by the time they figured it out, they did so just in time. So this is an example of that space. Once Guardiola loses it, he's scrabbling back. But what never happened initially was that drive to the byline. Because if you drive to the byline, because it's 3-on-3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you've got someone here who's not getting picked up because Ruben Diaz is concerned with Amad Diallo. But that's not what happened. And so this was one of the missed opportunities and one of the signs that Man United aren't totally complete yet. But if they can figure this out and when it's the right time to do it, just really attack this space. This space and this space is such a problem for Man City because Guardiola and Nunes are either leaving this space in behind here or Guardiola's just leaving that space there as well. Either way, it just didn't work. It just felt a bit clunky. And this opportunity, they get away with it. Amad Diallo doesn't go this way. He cuts inside. Bruno Fernandes, bless him, kind of makes this run to try and create that space on the inside for him because he kind of knows what Amad Diallo was doing, and they're able to get out of it. But if we go back to where that space is here, you can see it right here. If he'd actually just driven in behind against Matheus Nunes and then pulled the ball backwards, then there would have been God, that would have been a strike, an opportunity for Man United. And throughout the game, it was there. It felt like it was there throughout. There were so many examples of it, of the space that was available for Man United. Here's another example. This is one where this is actually Matheus Nunes here, who's decided to sort of pop up. This is the back line. This is the back line. Hang on, let's go back. This is the back line. 1, 2, 3, 4. All over the place. And the space, it was always there. It was always there. On this occasion, Amad Diallo's just offside. But actually, it's Phil Foden who's able to just about play him off. But it's because Matheus Nunes, throughout the game, just really, really struggled. And again, that's why I would have played Bernardo Silva in this game. I'll give you the full reason in terms of the tactics board in just a second. But just to highlight this point, space in behind. This is the same moment. There's always that space in behind. This is a pass when, again, you could have done it. And if Man United can play quicker, space in behind, it was available all the time. And Man United were constantly going round the side, always looking to go round the side. And I think in terms of those growing pains, once again, because they were going down the side, Man City were trying to sort of block off this pass here. When they can start to zip in that pass, and you've got Foden ready because he knows the ball's going to make its way to Mazraoui on this right-hand side. Man United constantly going round. Once they finally went direct, that's when they could start to hurt the opposition. Let's go through the goals. Because the goals are obviously important and dictate the game. First of all, now this one, I've got to say, I feel like this is it's just unlucky, really. And it feels like I'm kind of going after Man City today. But, and you know, if you want to get angry at that, that's your problem. But like, this cross comes in, and I've got to be honest, actually, if you look at the body weight of the two players, if you see the spin of the deflection, what would have been a different kind of spin on it, it really affects the body language, the body weight of the two defenders in here. Because initially they're making their way and they would have got to it. But as it moves on, you can see now that it's just, they're all over the place. And we move one more and there you go. You can see, in terms of not judging the flight of the ball, I think the spin of the ball is what's got them. I don't think there's too much more to say about that. Cracking header from Guardiola, to be fair, and at least he's in the box for it. And if we move on, I've got it twice. Here we go. Now, this is the second goal. Of course, we have to talk about the second goal. And I think this is the best example. Sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes because I'm astounded by this. In terms of just taking a second and understanding what you should be doing in this moment. Now, the pass is obviously a disaster, right? We know what the pass is, okay? But then from that moment on, look around. Now, Guardiola, good defending. Defender's brain. Who's coming? What's going on? What's the situation? Survey. Defender. Surveying the situation. Well, okay, the goalkeeper's come out now. So if the goalkeeper's coming out, then he might go round him and he'll get a shot off. So I need to be there. Surveying the situation. Matheus Nunes, have a look around. You've got one guy already back. And if you just have just a moment's breath, what you know is if he goes to the byline, that's okay. If he comes this way and you're alongside your goalkeeper, you're in a better place. And if you just look over your shoulder for a second, and also you've got a guy behind, and he's also cutting down the angle. On so many levels, there's a better way. And also, no one else is there. There's no one else in the box. So he's the only person you've got to stop from scoring. So cut down the angles. You see teams do it every day. And actually, in fact, Ruben Diaz is one of the best at it. And so he knows he's ready for the block. Fast forward another second, he's decided to clatter him. Fuck. And you saw from the angle, did you see the angle? Pep's just gone. Spits. I feel sorry for Pep with this one. Because it's like, okay, we've not played the best. We've got a bit of a lucky goal. And sometimes you need that just to get around it. It's an absolute disaster of a decision. I can't believe he did it. Honestly, I just cannot believe he did it. It's absolutely killed Man City. Absolutely killed them. Absolutely killed them. Absolutely. Let me show you something. So we showed you this one pass right here. It's one direct pass from Martinez, which of course is the winning goal. Now, halfway through the game, I was kind of looking at the passing networks of these two teams, and I was thinking, how are they playing? So first of all, this is Man United. And so what you really, really see here is round the sides. I can't make that clearer. Round the sides, right? At all times. That's how they're going to get there. At no point just hitting a little space there or taking that sign and that opportunity that was there. What's really interesting, coming back to why they got it so wrong, this is Bernardo Silva. He was just absolutely redundant in the game. And he just didn't need to be on that right-hand side. What was far more crucial was the defensive side of the team. And so he was just utterly unused. But Man United were going round. And that space is those, I've shown you so many examples of it, those spaces that were there, they wouldn't have been there if they'd played different. This is what they should have done. He should have played Silva on this left-hand side. Nunez shouldn't have played. Savio should have played. Or play Foden. Or start Kovacic. It's probably what he should have done. And the big thing here is that we've spoken about him stepping forward. Let me just take that off those two. We've spoken about Guardiola stepping forward. And that just didn't work. And I think see it, change it. Because it left that space in behind. If you'd played Silva here, he could have stepped in here. Let me just do it with arrows. He could have stepped in alongside Gundogan. He could have been in these areas here, but he could have stepped in here and Guardiola could have gone out here. And you had a natural back three. Silva stepping in, a real defender in Guardiola, dealing with him. But Silva, so diligent with his work, would have been able to get across and make life difficult for Diallo if he needed to, in transition. And you kind of just go to a back three. They would have been in a far better space and would have been a far better space with the ball as well, because Silva would have been in these areas of the pitch. But defensively, they would have been so much better because in transition, again, you've got Guardiola who's on the wrong line. And so he has to sort of get himself back in. And so these two, in terms of Matheus Nunes and Guardiola, were just always out of sync. Always out of sync. That doesn't mean that there wasn't brilliance from Man United and in particular Diallo, because this is a great goal. And what's so great about it is the movement for me. I think the movement's fantastic. What's really interesting actually as well, I don't know if it's a little thing or not, but Ugarte kind of goes, put the ball over the top. Maybe a message had been said, I don't know. But Matheus Nunes, just in terms of having that defensive brain, it's just not there. It just wasn't there throughout the game. And it's interesting, normally they would have gone round like they had throughout the game, worked their way there, and then look to play inside and then go from there. But this was the one moment where they actually just felt it out. Maybe just the adrenaline going, maybe just going, do you know what, back yourself a little bit more. And I do think that's a big thing. Playing quicker, playing almost more free. Instead of doing what you should do, what you've been told to do what you see within the confines of this system. And this was probably one of the first moments that we've seen it, because yes, of course, Martinez, great pass, and we know he's got that ability to do that. So that should be something that they should be looking at. As I say, Diallo always sort of cutting inside anyway, wherever he was, always wanting to go inside. So this was a run I'm surprised they didn't do sooner. Kobbie Mainoo is an interesting little position here, and Guardiola thinks he's okay, but again, Man City let down by Matheus Nunes and just not having that defensive brain at all. And as it plays on, first of all, early run. Now, Matheus Nunes will track him because you'll see that run. But what Diallo does, which no one will touch on, I don't think, is the curving of the run. What he does so fantastically here is instead of just making that bullet run, and then he knows as well, and you just instantly go, right, we got to go. He just curves his run. And what he does is he curves his run kind of in behind, and he's actually ready to bump Guardiola if he needs to. So it's really clever and interesting. With Mainu standing as still as he is, was this a pre-planned move? Xerxes taking Diaz's way as well. And so by the time he makes that run, and I can't stress how crucial it is that he, instead of going like that, he goes like this. Shocking drawing, I know. But by doing that, let's go the wrong way. By doing that, let's just move it along. So there, getting in behind, Gvardiol's been dragged a little bit. Matheus Nunes doesn't really know what to do and how to sort of just smell the danger, deal with the danger, cover the danger. So when the ball then gets played, Matheus Nunes, because of that curved run, he's just stopped his run for a second. And so now, Amad Diallo finds himself here with Gvardiol in trouble, Matheus Nunes not covering for his centre-back. And so again, that space was always there. That back line was never in a nice straight line. And again, in terms of this, if this being the other way around, I think Kyle Walker just goes and clatters it and deals with it. But by making that decision to play Matheus Nunes, I think a mistake was massively made there. That said, let's give Man United the credit, and in particular Diallo, who was the constant threat throughout the game. As I've shown you, it was one of the most one-sided Manchester derbies in the sense that the whole game was played on that right-hand side for Man United, on that left-hand side for Man City. But the finish here, this lad is sensational. Sensational. Because so much to do here. So much to do, so much to deal with. Got to keep an eye on Ederson. Does he come? Does he not? It's a beautiful pass from Martinez. First things first, the touch. The touch is filth. It's absolute filth. To take it away. And it's got to be perfect. And it can't be, too strong of it. Otherwise, you're not going to give yourself the angle to be able to do anything. But as I say, Matheus Nunes has got to get across. Once he sees he's in trouble, he's got to get across for me. But he's not got that brain. He's not thinking that way. And then the final touch. That's got to be perfect as well. But in terms of getting across your defender, one of these guys has got to be across him to make life difficult for him by the time it gets here, in my opinion. But instead, they're scrabbling. They're trying to get back. And again, Gvardiol's getting there, sensing the danger before Matheus Nunes. He's a yard off him when he's seen it all unfold. That, for me, comes down to the wrong team initially and then not kind of changing it and not using one of your soldiers in Bernardo Silva. I don't understand it. Tough time for Pep. At least he's not Gary O'Neill, though, who I've done a reaction video on the More James Allcott channel, which is available right now. Go and check that out. I've got a few thoughts I'd like you to hear. Goodbye.